Hello, everybody, and welcome to my night after analysis of the 2018 Senate. Um, the 2018 Senate elections. Um, what we have here is we have the state of how all the races went, um, based on what actually happened. It's not predictions. It actually happened, as I'm sure you all probably know. The two states that have not been officially called yet is the Mississippi special election. It just did something. I have no idea what it just did, but Mississippi special has not been called yet because Sidney Hyde-Smith and Mike Espy will be going into a runoff, which I actually didn't know, but it is likely that in a red state, Sidney Hyde-Smith, the Republican, will win um, the Mississippi special election. And also, the only other state that has not been called is the one that I changed my prediction on election day. The state of Arizona um, has. We'll look at the polls in a minute. Well, we'll look at the results in a minute for the state of Arizona. But, however, um, right now, Martha McSally is leading, not by a significant enough margin yet, but at the end of the night, not even at the end of the night anymore. At the end of whenever they're going to call it, I think Martha McSally will pull it out. But overall, this map is it's fairly close to what I expected. There are some that I admit I got wrong. So I have my final predictions, including the one that I changed the day of the election. Um, so far, the two that aren't called yet, I have both going to the Republicans. Um, which, if both of these would go to the Republicans, that would give them a 54 to 46 advantage, and that would be rather big for the Republicans. The two states that I've missed so far is Florida, which I will mention. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that we missed it, but I feel like there are a lot of predictors, there are a lot of pollsters who had Gilliam and Nelson winning in Florida. Um, I was following the thread on 538 last night, and people kept saying, whenever it was really close in Florida, all I know is they're going to live or die together. Either they're both winning or they're both losing. And that's what turned out happening. Not exactly in the way that I expected, or in the way that very many people expected. Um, but for the most part, um, people were not correct. And also, state of Indiana, I had tilting Joe Donnelly um, on the day before. I flipped it a couple times throughout my prediction series, but in the end, I stuck with Joe Donnelly can still pull this out. And he got killed basically. Um, the two, what I see for Florida, the reason why it's blue, we talked about it in the 2016 election. The secret Trump vote is still alive and well in the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, Trump's approval rating by exit polls and such, um, he had a positive approval rating. I believe it was +3 or so. And right now it's +5 in Arizona. Back to Florida. +3 in Florida. So he was at a 51% approval rating. And Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis finished with about 50 and change. So that's about where you would expect them to be, given Trump's approval rating and given they're both Republicans. Um, Looking back on it now, it's easy to say, oh, I should have known that was going to be a red state. But before the election, I didn't call it going red. 538, I'm pretty sure, had it going blue. There were a lot of people that had it going blue. Um, but for the state of Indiana, it was close. There were some polls where Mike Braun was ahead. A majority of the polls, I believe, showed Joe Donnelly ahead. Um, it was really close. I believe it was probably within the margin of error. I would have to believe, but he didn't perform within the margin of error. Mike Braun did a lot better than expected, and he made Indiana seem like the state that Mike Pence came from, for lack of a better way to put it. He made it much more red than in than the last time the last time Joe Donnelly was elected. Um, it was about 2016 numbers, and I thought Joe Donnelly, being a conservative Democrat, could help him out. But as you can see, North Dakota, Missouri, Indiana, all those states with um, conservative Democrats got beat pretty handily. So North Dakota, I predicted to be a pretty handily beating. I thought Missouri would be closer than it was. I thought Indiana would be the other way. But regardless, missing two isn't bad. I don't think it's very bad. Um, Nevada, blue. Dean Heller was defeated. It is official. Um, John Tester kept his seat, one of the only conservative Democrats left, along with Joe Manchin III in the state of West Virginia. Marsha Blackburn beat Phil Bredesen for the open seat. In one of the most expensive races, excuse me, Ted Cruz beat Beto O'Rourke in what was a very national race. The safe states went as expected. Nothing crazy happened. The Frost Belt, with the exception of Indiana, went as expected. New Jersey, it was fairly close towards the end, but Bob Menendez, with the help of um, Cory Booker in the state of New Jersey, they were both campaigning up to Election Day, and they got out the vote for Bob Menendez. So let's take a look at here, shall we? This is ABC News' current projections. The ones with the checks are the confirmed ones. The only likely or lean, well, there are two states. Florida is in a recount right now. However, it is believed by most that the current governor, Rick Scott, will be the senator, and Florida will be completely red. If not, then Bill Nelson will be the senator, and the state would go how most of us thought it would. Indiana, to me, the biggest surprise of the night is how bad he got beat. 52 to 44 was a pretty crazy one. 41 to 41, they're going into a runoff. The reason why is, if you take a look here, sorry about that. Chris McDaniel is the other Republican who is running in the Mississippi special election, which to me is, I didn't understand that. Why would you do that? If you have an incumbent, Cindy Hyde-Smith, why would you run a second Republican? To me, it doesn't make much sense. But whatever. Vote splitting, and I think it'll be okay for the Cindy Hyde-Smith at the end of the night. Well, I keep saying the end of the night, but you know what I mean. Arizona right now, Martha McSally is up 49 to 48, 75% reporting. A big factor on why I changed mine on the very last day was Ducey, the governor, getting reelected by such a margin. I think that Ducey could help squeeze out the vote and get Martha McSally to replace Jeff Flake. So overall, my thoughts. I'll do another video in the House whenever more of the House seats get settled. But overall, I thought it was a pretty. There were a couple surprises. Florida governor and Senate was a big surprise. Indiana was a surprise, I would say. I would say Indiana by the margin was a surprise more than anything. Florida going red was a surprise to me and a lot of people. But regardless, it was a good midterm season, and honestly, we'll probably start talking about the 2020 election here pretty soon. So thanks for watching this video. Comment down below what you thought about last night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell me in the comments what you think, what your predictions were going into the night, and well how well they turned out. And I will see you all soon.